Members, it's time and we have a quorum. So I call to order the meeting of the panel on transport for the 2022 session. Item 1, election of chairman and deputy chairman. The clerk has already sent you a notice to inform you that at the deadline of nomination, we have only received one valid nomination. The nominee is Mr. Frankie Yik. He is nominated by Mr. Joan Chan, and the nomination is seconded by Mr. Dominic Lee. In accordance with the rules of procedure and the House rules, as Mr. Frankie Yik has not been elected the chairman or deputy chairman of an inner panel, is also not the chairman or deputy chairman of a government advisory body in respect of matters that our panel will consider. So I declare Mr. Frankie Yik elected the chairman of the panel on transport. Now, Mr. Yik has other engagement, so he's not able to attend the meeting today, and I will therefore preside over the election of the deputy chairman on his behalf. The clerk has already sent notice to members that as at the deadline of nomination for the election of the deputy chairman, that we only received one valid nomination, Mr. Chen Wai Fung. The nomination is made by Mr. Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, seconded by Mr. Tony Chair. Again, in accordance with the rules of procedure and the House rule, now Mr. Chen has not been elected to chairman or deputy chairman of another panel. He is also not the chairman or deputy chairman of a government advisory body in respect to the terms of Jewish reference of this panel. Therefore, we have, in accordance with the House rule, if there is just one valid nomination, then the nominee, that is Mr. Chen Wai Fung, is deemed elected the deputy chairman. So I would like to congratulate Mr. Chen Wai Fung. Now, Mr. Chen Wai Fung will preside over the meeting as the deputy chairman. Thank you. First, I would like to thank Mr. Gary Chang for presiding over the election of the chairman and deputy chairman of the panel. Now I will chair the rest of the meeting. Item 2 on the agenda, schedule of meetings for the 2022 session. In the last session of the council, regular meetings were scheduled for 10:45 a.m. every Friday in the month. Members, do you agree to adopt the same arrangement? If so, if I may invite members to refer to the proposed schedule of meetings tabled. So every third Friday, 15th of February, well, that's actually a special arrangement at 8:30, and then 28th of March, 22nd of April, 20th of May, 17th of June, 15th of July. So for all these meetings, is to be held at 20:45, and it is a Friday. So please note all these dates and agree to this schedule. And so with the agreement that this is the schedule we've adopted. Item 3, items for discussion at the next meeting. The next meeting. Now, for the next meeting, because there will be a debate on the policy address at the council starting from the 16th of February 2022, so the Secretariat has reserved a slot 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the 15th of February, Tuesday, for the Secretary for Housing for Transport and Housing to give a policy briefing on the 2021 policy address to the panel members. Do you agree that we hold this policy briefing? Okay, thank you. And then for the meeting on the 15th of February, the administration proposes discussion of the item 6101TX Universal Accessibility Program. Members, do you agree? Mr. Ben Chan? Now, on the Universal Accessibility Program EAP, I agree that we could take up this item, but at the same time, I hope the administration will also tell us about the 144 recommendations in relation to uphill accessibility. It's nothing to do with the UAP, but it's also about facilitating accessibility. So I hope the administration will give us some information too and give us a report at the meeting. Thank you. The Secretariat will take up discussion with the administration. Thank you. Work plan for the 2022 session. The chairman and the deputy chairman of the panel on transport will meet with the Secretary for Transport and Housing to discuss the work plan for the 2022 session of the panel. Now, many members have indicated they wish to speak. Perhaps can I invite you to press a button, then we could, arrange the order of speaking. First, 9 members have asked to speak. Mr. Dominic Lee, Mr. Tan Ka-piu, Mr. Ben Chen, Mr. Gary Chang, Mr. Stanley Lee, Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, Mr. Yu Pak Lam, Mr. Tony Che, and Mr. Andrew Lam. So please be concise. I think maybe not more than 1 minute each, please. First, Mr. Dominic Lee. For residents of Tai Po and Sha Tin, we're most concerned about road congestion and crowdedness in road surfaces. So, I hope there will be a tunnel to link up Choushan and another place, and then there should be a Chinwan route. And also we want to divert the crowd. There should be a second northern loop line for the East Rail, and then the rail company should keep 12 cars per service. These are items we could discuss. Next, Mr. Tan Ka-piu. Now we want the administration to make good its promises. For example, the East Kowloon Tunnel, the line, what's the progress, and also for electric buses, taxis, and minibuses, what is the latest progress? What is the policy steer? Maybe it's not just electric, but rather clean fuel. That's the point. I hope there will be a discussion on that. Third item. For traffic and transport infrastructure projects, some of the works projects may be tendered out to mainland contractors, but perhaps during the design stage we could aim for a breakthrough too, and we could invite mainland contractors to take part in the bidding because they have the most advanced technology. Mr. Ben Chen. Well, next year the government is going to take over the operation of the West Kowloon crossing, so we could the Western Harbour crossing. So I think we should discuss the arrangement. And also, at night there are particularly noisy vehicles engaging in illegal racing or just running on the street. I think there should be time restriction imposed on the use of such vehicles, and also. Of course, there are insufficient parking spaces. The government has taken some measures. We want to follow up on progress. Next, Mr. Gary Chang. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wrote to you today about the flyover at Kong Fok. We've talked about it for 10 years. The panel has given this council has endorsed that, and there's also support of the district council, but then there was local opposition. That's why the project was shelved. I hope this project will be revived. It could either be discussed as a panel, or better still, it could be taken to the finance committee directly. And then for Sha Tin bypass, how we're going to address the issue. And then, of course, there's overcrowdedness in the East Rail services, so I hope the government will also give us an explanation. Now, Mr. Gary Chang has submitted a letter asking for the Kong Fok flyover project to be taken to be proposed to the Finance Committee for discussion. So we will discuss with the administration, and if necessary, circulate the reply. Mr. Stanley Lee, for Trunkado, Ma Shan, and Sai Kung residents in the New Territories East, they are most concerned about traffic and transport issues. Now, for the extension from Po Lam to Diamond Hill is already in the development plan, but we haven't heard much since. So the residents would like to see this project be taken up as soon as possible. Second, well, there's serious traffic congestion. As you know, there's just the area is just linked to Kowloon by the Joan Chan tunnel. Now, when the bridge is completed, the tunnel toll will be waived, because people have to stop for over 10 seconds to pay the $3 toll. But can you waive the toll altogether, so as to help relieve congestion? Don't wait till the bridge is completed. And then Marshall residents want the T4 project to commence as soon as possible. Next, Dr. Lo Wai Kwok. 2 points. One, other members have raised similar concern. That is the north-south road network, because the Tolo Harbor is already, the Kolo Highway is already so congested. We've raised this many times in the past term, but the administration has given us any concrete reply. So we cannot just rely on the Tolo Highway. We need to resolve the issue of north-south bound traffic for the New Territories. And then for railway projects, either there are so many projects at the same time, or there are no projects at all. And now 7 projects have been proposed previously, but so far no green lights been given, and so all these projects are bunching up. And then for the Northern Loop is to be extended from Hong Shui. There's also a proposal to extend it from Hong Shui Kiu to Qian Hai. So the government should give more explanation as to how they're going to plan these various projects. Next, Mr. Yu Pak Leung. Thank you. Now, I'm concerned, of course, about the overall traffic and transport issues involving Hong Kong. I'm also very much concerned about the insufficient parking spaces for coaches. Now, during the pandemic, many of the coaches are just left idle. So I hope the Transport Department could consider how there could be room for operations for these coaches during the epidemic. And also on developing tourism in Hong Kong, transport facilities are important. I hope the government will do more study here.
Mr. Tony Tse, thank you. There are 3 points I would like the government can update on progress. Like other members, we are concerned with railways. I would like the Sha Tin link, and we want to know about the latest updates. Other than railways, for roads, we would like to know about the development, especially in new development areas. How can we ensure that we can focus first on infrastructure? On smart transportation and smart accessibility, what are some of the objectives that the government would like to take forward? What are their policies and strategies on that? Thank you. Next, Mr. Andrew Lam. Thank you. I'd also like to raise 3 points. First, the last overall comprehensive transport review was done in 1999. Well, since we should focus on infrastructure, we really need to have a policy to follow. So why haven't we conducted the next review? I also like to understand more about railways. We now only have one railway company in operation. Should we also look into the capability of the railway company? And thirdly, in Lantau, we only have very limited main roads, and we still need to look into the connection between Kowloon and also on the artificial island. Thank you. Next, Ms. Joan Chan. Thank you, Deputy Chairman. Members have talked about to better develop the transportation network in Hong Kong. We want to ensure there will be smooth transport in the northern area in the new territories. In Kwai Chung Village and also in Dai Wo Ho, we also have the Universal Accessibility Program in progress. But I don't think that has been done properly because many of the village houses are built beside mountains, and with an aging population, we really should focus more on the work of universal accessibility. Thirdly, this involves the whole population. We always talk about smart car park now, and in Tsuen Wan, we have the first smart car park on Hoi Sing Road. Mr. Yu Park Leung talked about tourist industry right now. We want smart car park to accommodate private vehicles and also tour buses and also bicycles. I hope that we'll be able to look into that as well. Thank you, Mr. Chen Wai Fung. Thank you. The government has talked about the western link of the South Island line. I hope that we can discuss this. And also in Dongchong, there are going to be another 100,000 people moving in. The transportation network cannot accommodate all this population. Would we be trying to enhance the capability of the transportation network? Many people will have to pay expensive ferry fares to go to the outlying islands. So can you also support them as well? In the Lantau South Road, you can see that the roads are very narrow. We hope that there will be a development of the highway along the road. So it has been shelved. I hope that we can bring this out for discussion as well. Mr. Gary Chang. First of all, I'd like to talk about the analysis of the capability of roundabouts in Hong Kong. We can see that in the New Territories area, it's always congested. Can the roundabouts actually accommodate all these cars? What are some of the improvement plans we can make? Also on the Tuen Ma Shan line, in the past 2 years, there's been more transportation and it's going to be saturated very soon. So upcoming in Hong Shou Q, and with so many people using this railway line, how can we make sure that we'll be able to accommodate all the people? And thirdly, on Cross Harbour Toll, we see that some belong to the public right now, some belong to private companies. Well, we are one city in Hong Kong. Can we try to make tunnel toll consistent and then to try to come up with ways to resolve the congestion issue? Thank you for all your suggestions. You can also submit your suggestions in writing after the meeting to the Secretariat. Next agenda item, AOB. There is one AOB in relation to the Subcommittee on Matters Relating to Railways. Ever since the panel on transport set up the subcommittee on matters relating to railways in December year 2000, we have been following up on this work. I'd like to ask members if you agree to continue with this subcommittee to follow up on matters relating to railways. All right. Since there are no objections, we will continue with our subcommittee on matters relating to railways. The Secretariat will list out the terms of reference in writing later on and circulate to members. If there is no other AOB, I now adjourn the meeting. Thank you.